Welcome to this sales demonstration on the Interact detailed estimating software. In this demonstration we're going to look at raising a job using the detailed estimating system. We're going to put in some expected costs for that job, look at some of the reports that are available, and then some of the optional modules. If you're wanting to know more about the Interact job costing system, we have other videos that cover that topic. When we create a job in the system, even if it's only an inquiry or a quote, it will get a job reference number. We have details of who the main contact is, who that client is, where they're located, and what type of equipment or job was this for. If we've set up underneath the job type that we're going to have detailed estimating, we have the detailed estimating screen here. Within the detailed estimating, we can have any number of sub-jobs or phases, sections of the work. Within each of these phases or sections, we can have different costs broken down from labour, materials, subbies, sundries, or machines. In the labour area, we put in our own internal labour. We can have any number of different labour classes, cost rates, markups, number of hours, number of staff, and a summary of what that staff member is going to be doing. The system normally pulls through a indirect overhead recovery on top of that, and that adds back to the sundry costs expected on the job. Under the materials part of the estimating, we can add in whatever quantity of materials, the cost rate for those materials, markup percentages, etc., whether we're going to have waste. In the subcontractors, we can have items where we might just have a base hourly rate or a fixed contract price, but we can also have subcontractors set up that are going to have work tasks. So we can say, here are the tasks that this subcontractor can provide, the rates that they would normally charge to perform those tasks, and then all we need to do is click into here and say how many of each of thie tasks this particular subby is going to perform on this job. It then adds those totals back to here and to our estimate. We also have the option of sundry costs. There's no limit to the number of sundry costs that you can have on a job, and they can just be as simple as sundry purchases with a total price, or we can break that down further into products that we're not wanting to handle as materials or subcontractors, but we do want to see included in our cost price. We can also have machine costs added onto a job. With machine costs, we can pick a machine from our library of machines, how many hours it will work for and what the cost would be. We can add into any of those 5 menus, items 1 through to 5, any costs of those particular types, but they always end up summarising into one joint list under the quick estimate input. But we can also add in costs under this screen here. We can see the costs that we've added in summarised based on the phase or section of the work that they're in, and summarised further back at the initial estimate option. One job can have multiple estimate options within it. We might be using that in the instance where the client comes back with a revision. We could copy the original estimate through to a new estimate and then make those changes. The system would allow us to store any number of estimates underneath one job, and those different estimates can also belong to different customers. We may have a situation where multiple parties are contacting us about the same site, and we're wanting to provide them with different cost estimates, perhaps different markup prices or different products and services to each of those. When we're adding costs into an estimate, the system has a few options open to us. One, we can use the option markup to be able to put in a markup percentage at the top level of this particular estimate. It then allows us to put in whatever percentage we want to here, and all of the costs that we've got entered in underneath here would then use that markup percentage to work out what the suggested sell price for that contract would be. If we don't want to have one overall markup percentage for the whole estimate, we can have different markup percentages for each of the different phases or sections of the estimate. We simply mark on here that this one is going to have phase markup and put in the percentage of the phases markup. If we don't use either of those two options, we've got the option to be able to put in cost prices underneath each of these items and to have either the standard markups brought through from the setup of those cost items, or to have the markups changed specifically underneath this particular quote. When we are creating estimates within the software, we do have the option to be able to print quotations. We have the option underneath our estimates to be able to print out a number of different formats of quotation, And within each of those formats, we normally have the option to be able to print it in WinPrint or as a Word document. The advantage of the Word document is that we can obviously make changes from within the document to add in pictures or remove or add text to it. The advantage of the other WinPrint application is we can email directly from there to the client as well as to multiple parties, etc. We have the option also to be able to print out a cost estimate summary report where it can pull details from the cost estimate that we've created, showing the different sections of the job, summaries in each of those sections, and then the breakdown underneath the different cost groups, etc. over the additional pages. These types of reports, we've got the option to be able to turn on or off what sections of the report will print. So if we wanted to, for instance, turn off the cost prices and reprint the report, we'll only see the sell prices, and the profit and other columns that relate to the cost price will be hidden from view. This internal document is designed for being able to come to a meeting with other staff to discuss what's happening with this project. When we're adding in a cost estimate, one of the options that we have is to be able to set up with an optional module called Job Estimate Kits. We're able to set up kits. So when we add in a kit to the job, we can pick which type of kit we like. It asks us, based on this unit of measure, what our quantity will be for this kit. It will go then and look at the kit and work out what quantities of labour, subbies, materials, etc. on that kit would then apply to this section of the job. So we can see here that the blank phase that we had now has costs under a number of different sections. We can then still come in and change those materials if we need to say, well look, although it suggests that we need 62 of these panels on this particular part of the job, we might change that to be 65, knowing that there's some strange corners, etc. on this job, or that maybe we might have some breakages. We can also put in wastage percentages here if we're wanting to be able to get it to recalculate those quantities as well. With the kit estimates, you do have the option to use this degree of difficulty factor here to be able to increase all of the costs and markups on the items that are included within the kit. Material items can be normally added in a number of different ways. Most material items are going to ask us for a quantity, a wastage percentage, pull through a net cost and the markup percentage to work out what our expected sell price might be. But where we add in a material item that has a different unit of measure, this item here is a aluminium moulding, it gives us the option to be able to pick from the lengths and sheets module how many of 2 meter lengths we're going to need on this job. There are other types of cost items that we can have set up as well. This item is a meters cubed product. When we come to add in this item, it asks us what part of the job is going to be using this particular concrete. I'm going to pick the driveway, and it stores in here what the length and width and thickness of that is to calculate out how many cubic meters we might need. If we had a situation where the client was wanting a revision to the initial estimate, or where we have the situation where a different job in the system with an estimate is going to get repeated in the future, we can copy one estimate in the software through to another. I've got a blank estimate here, and I'm going to use the copy estimate from. It's going to ask me what job number, which estimate we wish to copy from. Do I want to copy all estimates and any quotations that are underneath that estimate? And then it will allow me to copy that estimate across. When I come out of that estimate, we can now see that any of the details that were under the initial estimate are now under this optional estimate. I can then come through and make changes to it as if it was the original estimate, but keep the original estimate there in case the client wants to go back to that original specification. From here, if we win the job, it's just a simple matter of clicking the Convert to Budget button and then keying in the details of the contract number, contract amount, when we're going to start it, and then flowing through the rest of the job costing and contract areas of the software. If you have any questions about the detailed estimating package or would like to be able to have a live demonstration of some of the features, please contact sales@interact.com.au. Thank you.